So when the pandemic first became evident, or when we first started hearing about it, it didn't appear to immediately have any major impact on us. It continued for some time, and we watched the events develop around the world. And it was only really in March 2020 that it really hit home here, as we started to see travel bans coming in, flights being restricted, people rushing to get out of the country so they could get home before borders were closed. And then, of course, a catastrophic cancellation of almost all the bookings between then and initially the next few months.
So a massive blow, and being in an industry where we've dealt with crises before, it was something that we knew could happen. I think no one prepared us for how large this was. It became clear, fairly quickly that this was going to something that wasn't going to hang around for a month or two, but that it was going to be longer. Initially, we had thought, 6 months. We're now sitting here, almost 2 years later, and we haven't seen the back of this. As a company, we needed to make a decision on how we were going to deal with this. We as a company and also as employees, you don't have the benefit of furlough schemes or government bailouts or government support, not even loan facilities. But we took the decision very early on that we were going to look after livelihoods over profits. It was really important to us to look after our people. And I think also, again, not losing sight of what we are as a company. We are a people's company, and we are a company that has built very strong relationships, be it with our suppliers, be it with our agents, or be it with our staff. And without our staff, we as a company are nobody and are virtually non-existent. The intention was that if we were going to have a future, we would need to make sure that our people survive this with us. And we were, very open about that, and had, regular meetings. We had very open communication.
We took a conscious decision. We wanted to try and retain all our core staff, and we kept all our staff on admittedly reduced salaries for quite a long time.
We found a way that, as a team or as a tribe, we like to call it, we found a way to ride the storm together, which was really important to us.
Certainly has been the most interesting and challenging year personally, and I can't, if I reminiscence on things like Ebola, how it affected tourism, other things, this has certainly thrown us all in the deep end.
Personally, if I have to speak about myself, it has hit me really hard.
It's been really tough on everyone, but I really want to thank Mr. Martin and Tristan.
It made me realize how I'm valued at this company, and it made me feel what I'm doing is something that people they can see and value it. So I'm glad that I'm making an impact to a company like this, and to keep hold of me. It made me feel so special.
The owners of the company, Tristan, Martin, handled the whole situation, gave us a little bit of comfort.
Like all our impact investments, which are our other camps, we've always done with the intention of having a positive impact on the area. And on Nduli Ridge, is a joint venture with the Dora Naos Conservancy.
Working with Ultimate Safari is always positive. Lots of engagement on what is happening with the conservancies. So there is constant communication and engagement with the communities, which I really like. Trying to ensure that the community is uplifted, and there is empowerment also within the communities.
With the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, and have been involved with initiatives with them in the past, one of our objectives would be to repopulate and that area with Angolan giraffe. From January, we started building on Nduli. We went to site mid-January, and the build commenced. By 2 months later, 2 months into the build, March came and then COVID hit. We needed to very quickly, rethink what we were going to do. obviously made provision where we repurposed staff that then became security guards. It didn't take long for us to come to the conclusion that, we had an obligation and we had a commitment to the Conservancy there. Sure, we needed to restructure some of the financing because the financing that was being used to build Unduli was now going to be needed to ensure that we keep our staff. As soon as we could, we went back to site and continued building. And as a result, have now ended up with a truly unique product. With the lodge now operational, we're paying significant royalties and guest fees for being there, which is already having a huge impact. The next couple of years we'll see even greater impact in terms of development and conservation impact in that area. So so involvement on the conservation level is already in the very early days of this venture, fairly significant. The next phase was really to start thinking about the other aspect of what we do, which is all channeled through our own Conservation Travel Foundation. It forms part and parcel of who we are at Ultimate Safaris, but it is a vehicle that's being created that is a non-profit, which is audited, which is entirely transparent, that is responsible for that part of the business. So much of what the Conservation Travel Foundation does in terms of fundraising is all, as the name suggests, travel related. And that travel raises revenue or funding for conservation and rural development. What was clear is that we weren't going to have any travel for the foreseeable future. And the reality is that despite COVID, conservation needed to continue. We needed to ensure that the last 30 years of incredible work that have been done in Namibia on a conservation level doesn't get undone in a mere few months. We started formulating ideas about how we could, in the end, broadcast the COVID situation in Namibia from a conservation perspective to the world, and something that evolved as discussions went on. Initially guided live game drives to ending off with the concept of the COVID Chronicles, between ourselves and some like-minded filmmakers doing something great for conservation. And the essence behind the COVID Chronicles really was to broadcast to the world on how conservation continues despite COVID. Just also to highlight the resilience of conservation and the people of Namibia. I think through the COVID Chronicles we created the catalyst for an incredible conservation story that followed through the last 20 months.
We then approached to do grants and applications for funding, and what's been really amazing is that we've actually achieved a lot more during this period as a company, as a foundation, than we have over the last 5 years.
There's a lot of costs involved in looking after rhinos. And we need a lot of support. And the Conservation Travel Foundation has with Ultimate has really come to the table in a fantastic way. And the Pack for Conservation initiative, in my opinion, is probably one of the most creative ways that is constantly ensuring that our rangers have proper uniforms, boots without holes, backpacks. Guests can also become more engaged and feel more direct, tangible impact to the program as well.
But importantly as well as the community and the Rhino Rangers, who for a number of years did a remarkable job in partnership with Ultimate. The mere fact of presence in an area, I think, with a number of operators has been terribly, terribly important. It's not only the presence, but also supporting the Rhino Rangers, but having this contact, building this confidence, and having a close relationship where people are open and communicate well. And I think that's been particularly good in Huab. It's not only the rhino, I think we have to look at more the general biodiversity. This presence provides a measure of security for general biodiversity management.
rhino rangers in the Doranawas and Buab Conservancy, which we've continued to support their salaries, their field expenses and their rations through this period, with support from organizations like B2 Gold and the Adventure Travel Conservation Foundation. Continued support is not only rolled out for rhinos, but it's been there for lions, it's been there for giraffes.
Ultimate Safaris, working with conservancies, linking the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. That's been the backbone of enabling us to do translocations, being able to tag giraffe, where are they going, what they're doing. So it's been a really valuable partnership that we couldn't have done on our own.
We've been able to do over 12 million Namibian dollars to support in our various projects, from animals to horticulture to the school kids at Groblersdal Primary School.
Sustainable tourism, ecotourism, that is basically the most important thing. And I think Ultimate Safaris is way up there. Also, partnerships in ensuring that there is maximum benefits that are actually going to the communities who are incurring costs living with the wildlife.
That type of impact is not just a once-off. The things we implemented is continuous.
I've been here almost from the beginning, and I've seen it grow from where we started to where we are now, and seeing it generate this much. At the end of the day, as consultants, we are to try to communicate this through to the clients. Seeing the outcome of all this effort makes me very proud.
This must be our single biggest achievement of COVID, and one we're exceptionally proud of. There's a bright future, and I think what COVID has actually done is it's defined and solidified the relationship between the Conservation Travel Foundation and Ultimate Safaris, and the two operate in parallel, and as a team or as a force are exceptionally powerful from an impact perspective. I think everyone, especially in the travel industry, has their COVID story, but this is ours to tell. We are ready to scale and welcome back conservation-minded travellers to Namibia. We've tried to make the most of it and turned a lot of what has been thrown at us into a very positive light. We are not far off us returning to where we left off, and not only that, but exponentially building on that in terms of the impact we want to have as a conservation travel company.